I'm not supposed to be home today. I'm supposed to be in Kashiwa, on the practice tour, hanging out with our sumo heroes. How might that parallel universe have looked? For now, though, we must give them, and everybody, space enough to ride out this storm. To fill in just a tiny portion of the recovery period, let me tell you a nice story from last year's Kashiwa show. That was staged on April the 20th, 2019, and Koto Shoho, then nearing promotion to salaried level as Koto Tebakari, earned a fine reception from his hometown fans, naturally. I didn't buy tickets for the actual event, but experience told me that as wrestlers always travel the night before, Tebakari and friends would likely be in his parents' pub on the night of the 19th. Resolving to make a sumo day of it, I first headed to Shinagawa, a town which has always treated me well, and I'm sure would treat you likewise. There's little to dislike about this one-time merchant stopover town which, if you look carefully enough behind the skyscrapers, still retains many of its old features. Remnants of a rickshaw economy. A traditional shopping arcade flanked by shrine and temple gardens. And riverboat cruises taking you all the way to the Kokugikan Sumo Hall and beyond. Obviously, you'll need to wait for the crisis to subside before sampling them. For lunch, why not try the Uejima Tempura shop? Deep-fried fish from the local market in a warm, nostalgic setting. For dessert, a delectably fruity seasonal parfait at the Strings by Intercontinental Hotel. My sumo reason for visiting concerned the majestic Shinagawa Shrine. As with many fine religious edifices, it demands effort in exchange for a glimpse of its beauty. But the several dozen steep steps are well worth the climb, delivering you tranquility mere meters above the madding crowds. And if you walk far enough behind the main shrine, you will find a graveyard with a sweeping view of neighboring towns, within which can be found the grave of one of sumo's all-time leading figures, Count Taisuke Itagaki. Born to a middle-ranking samurai family in Tosa, the same land which gave us Toyonoshima, Itagaki befriended many in local sumo, even turning some of his land into a stable for around 20 wrestlers, thus reviving Tosa Sumo after the turbulent 1860s. Once the Meiji government was installed, partly due to his pledging of Tosa's troops to the cause, Itagaki became a key political figure, serving in several cabinets. This allowed him to influence sumo on a national level, introducing coaches to promising wrestlers from across the country. Yokozuna Tachiyama, the Toyama man Asanoyama now seeks to emulate, the most famous recruit. Itagaki was also project committee chair when the first National Sumo Hall was built in 1909, and thus had the final say on the name, Kokugikan, which, despite the many changes the venue has undergone, has remained in use ever since. Happily, Shinagawa is connected to Kashiwa by the Joban rail line. The Special Express can have you there in 35 minutes. I've introduced Koto Shoho's parents' bar, Daruma, several times, but only once have I actually met wrestlers in there. That day, 4 yukata-clad lower rankers were seated at the corner table. Koto Tebakari, back to the wall, chest puffed out, the highest ranked among them. There was not only a physical distance between them and the regular punters. The way they turned their thick frames inwards and laughed and exhibited their bond suggested we should not disturb them at once. However, After the alcohol lowered everyone's defenses, the senior punters who had known Tebakari since his birth felt emboldened to approach. What started as a trickle soon became a gush of late, middle-aged men, especially after Kotoeko walked in, the big name to make the youngsters look cooler and emphasize his stable's regard for the bar. When the punters slid back onto their stools, they recommended I approach the sumo corner. Exploiting the leeway that a foreign face and alcohol provides, I asked Kotoeko some direct questions about the previous tournament, and praised his final day scoop throw of Tomokaze. After I confirmed his second half collapse was down to thwarted strategies rather than injury, I received, along with my drinking pals, this signed and dated autograph card, along with a caricature sticker produced by Koto Tsurugi, Sumo's official manga artist and ex-wrestler at Koto Tebakari's stable. It was rather a weird experience. I'd hardly followed Kotoeko at all, and yet there he was. This intense face from the TV screen right in front of me, answering my questions so politely that I felt I instantly owed him more of my attention. You rather expect these first meetings to be more dramatic, and yet here you are, in a bar you know well, he just happens to be there, and you have to converse. Ironically, the time when he handed me a caricature of himself was actually the time when, in my mind, he stopped being a caricature and turned into a real person. Kashiwa is a proud sumo city, and there was no way we were letting our sumo boys pay for anything. Against their strong objections, we men of the counter slipped them money any way we could, covering this bill and likely their next one. The night was yet young, another bar surely awaited. As Kotoeko stood to leave, I noticed he was clearly shorter than I, but infinitely more robust. You could feel the strength packed so tightly into him. I walked the surrounding streets in search of yet bigger sumo names. They all had to be there somewhere that night. In the end, though, I didn't even mind the fact they proved elusive. For who should I see walking straight towards me under the flickering lights but Koto Tebakari, who overcame initial surprise to thank me for my role in the whip round, which helped make his night all the merrier.